Hi, I'm Darcel Lobo, and I own Dow Law Firm in Normandy Park, kind of like Seattle area if you're not familiar. And today we're going to talk about this NAR settlement, the National Association of Realtors. How does it affect buyers? How does it affect sellers? How does it affect real estate agents? There's so many questions, so much speculation as to what this could mean. So let's talk about actually what it is. If you don't know, I am a licensed attorney. I handle real estate matters. I own Dow Law Firm in Normandy Park. And so let's talk about the settlement and what it means. So with this settlement, the new rules that are going to come from this could end up saving home buyers and sellers a lot of money. I mean, thousands of dollars in commissions. And we're looking at probably this summer before this comes into effect. So there was a very large settlement of $418 million that was announced this past Friday through the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, and it was in regards to realtor commissions. Now, the settlement has been reached. It's still waiting for court approval, which is expected, but it does not have court approval, at least not as of yet. So let's do a little background on kind of how this came to be, what the commissions look like. So for decades, the National Association of Realtors has required the listing brokers or the listing agents to provide an offer of compensation to the buyer's agent or the buyer's broker. Traditionally, it was around 6%. So as the seller, you'd pay a 6% commission to the listing agent, who would then split it with the buyer's agent. Again, I'm going to use agent and broker interchangeably just for convenience of us talking. I understand that there are differences, I know. And so it's usually around 6%. It can sometimes be a little less, maybe 5.5% or 5%, depending on what the seller negotiated with the listing agent. However, that's usually 6% is usually kind of the norm of what you're looking at as a seller when you sell the home, to pay both the seller and the buyer's side agent fees. So with this settlement agreement, once it goes into effect, that 6% commission that sellers pay would go away. Sellers would no longer be paying both their agent and the buyer's agent. There would no longer be an offer of compensation made to the buyer's agent. Okay, so instead, home buyers, people who are looking to buy a home, would have to instead sign a contract with their agent or broker before they start working with him or her, which some people speculate may lead buyers to not use agents. I don't know if that's the case, but instead the buyer is going to agree to pay their agent, and the seller is only going to be paying for their agent on the listing side. And so again, these changes don't go into effect until this summer. It's probably about mid-July of 2024 is what we're looking at. So what does this mean for everyone? Well, it's going to take a few months before this comes into effect, and then we have to actually see what these changes mean for everyone. We don't actually know yet. We know what the settlement says, but we don't know what the effect will have on the market. There's speculation all over the place as to what it may mean, but we don't actually know until we see how this plays out. So a lot of people think that this will bring about lower commissions for real estate agents instead of the standard 3%, that it's going to be something different, but only time is going to tell, right? And so, but given that buyers are going to contract directly with their agent, with their broker, you know, the buyers who have the funds to be able to pay the agents directly, they can do so. Maybe they'll reach some kind of flat fee agreement. Maybe it'll be a percentage still. Or maybe for buyers who are unable to pay that commission upfront, they may find themselves asking the seller to cover what that buyer's agent commission would be, because the buyers may not have those funds out of pocket to be able to pay, especially if it's a first-time home buyer. I think this can lead to probably some really untraditional agreements for compensation for our buyer agents and our buyer brokers that we just haven't seen before. We haven't really experienced. You may see that sometimes, like, you know, your online industries, maybe like your Zillow or Redfin. I think they have more of a different kind of a structure. I think this is going to become more widespread as it comes to buyers agents and buyers brokers. And so But this isn't to downplay at all the importance of your agent or broker. Agents play such an important role in the home buying process, right? They have the knowledge, they have the expertise that buyers really rely on when they're looking for a home, especially if it's a first-time home buyer, especially if you're moving somewhere that you're unfamiliar with, right? Having an agent who knows that neighborhood or community or city that you're looking to relocate to is really valuable to you. So having an agent, there definitely is going to still be a need for the agent or for the broker. And they deserve to be paid for their time and to be compensated fairly for their expertise and the value that they're going to bring to their buyers. But now, the dollar amount that is attached to what that compensation will be is really going to be up for negotiation between the buyer and the buyer's agent, whereas that wasn't the case before because the seller already proposed what that commission would be when they listed the home for sale. And so this might make things a little bit more complicated. And I say that because, at least in the beginning, for buyers to understand what this is going to look like, because not only, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, are you trying to buy a home, but now you're going to have this added task of trying to figure out what is a fair compensation for the agent who's going to help you buy a home. So it's going to add a little bit of complexity or some additional questions for buyers to consider before they start going out looking at homes with an agent or a broker. And so, I mean, and think about this, depending on what it looks like when the buyer is buying a home with an agent. What if the buyer, finds the home of their dreams after only viewing 3 houses? And they're ready to proceed forward right away? Should that compensation be different than a buyer who maybe it takes 3, 4, 5, 6+ months to find a home and they have to look at 50 houses before they find the right house? Is that going to impact what the commission should be and what fair compensation would be? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I think this is going to be really up to the buyers and buyers' agents to figure out as they navigate through this journey of working together with this new structure of rules for compensation for buyers' agents. So I think this is another one where it's like we're going to have to kind of wait and see what happens when these changes go into effect, what happens in the market, kind of how the dust settles on these things. So again, there's a lot of opinions as what's going to happen, how it's going to change things, but I think it really is a matter of wait and see. We can make some educated guesses as to what might happen, but we're going to have to wait and kind of see how this pans out. Now, another big question, besides just how it's going to affect commission for buyers, agents, and buyers, brokers, there's also a lot of questions about how is this going to affect home prices. A lot of people speculate that this will actually bring down home prices, but I don't know that this is actually true. It doesn't guarantee it, that's for sure, because sellers could still list their home for the same prices that they would if they were or were not paying the buyer's agent, and then just keep more of the net proceeds for themselves, right? It may not actually lead them to reducing the listing price of the home by that 3% that they would have been paying to a buyer's agent. Maybe this might encourage more sellers to list their home since they're going to have a lower cost of sale. But again, that's in theory. I think we might have a lot of buyers who are unable to foot that bill to pay their agent, so might be asking sellers for a credit to compensate their agent. I'm not sure that lenders are going to be willing to wrap that agent's commission into the loan amount. I doubt it. I would doubt it. So again, a lot of variables, a lot of waiting and seeing. I know people want the answers to what this is going to mean, but this is such a huge, shakeup in this industry, and we're going to have to see what happens this summer when this starts to come into effect. And so what we will see, what we do know for sure is that there's a separation that's coming for listing agent commissions and buyer's agents commissions, because the sellers are only going to be responsible for paying the listing agent commission and the buyer will be responsible for paying their agent's commission. Again, buyers might ask sellers for credit to cover that. However, as it starts out, buyers responsible for their own buyer's agent's commissions. And so then we turn to, well, what's going to happen to real estate agents? What's going to happen with this industry? What's going to happen if commissions are reduced for buyer's agents? I think I've seen a lot of experts saying that, they think that the number of real estate agents will reduce, especially real estate agents who are maybe new or don't have a lot of transactions, aren't as experienced. Again, I don't know if that's true. Again, I don't know that anybody knows what's true and what's actually going to happen, right? But this is a conversation, and a lot of agents are talking about these things. And for a lot of, your newer agents, there's a lot of concern as to what this is going to mean for them, in their careers. Given what's happened in the past year or so with interest rates on mortgages going up, I, as an attorney, already find myself talking to a lot of real estate agents who are maybe, quite frankly, looking to change career paths, looking for something different because they're not making the money that maybe they thought that they would make when they went out into the real estate field as an agent or as a broker. And so I continually talk to agents who are looking at closing up that business, starting something else, dealing with any kind of debt that they have from their business as a real estate agent. And so those conversations have already been happening for the past year or so, at least in my experience. And so, will this change of commission structure lead to more agents leaving the field? Maybe, it could be. I can understand why, depending on what happens with the commission structure and how commissions for agents change. And especially if you are a buyer's agent and the bulk of your commission comes from buyer side transactions. If there is a large decrease in your income, you may find yourself considering, other options or what you're going to do outside of being a buyer's agent. But then we have also the agents who've been doing this for a long time, right? Your agents who are, very well established and have the strong relationships and reputations and really extensive networks, they may, see the changes. There may be an impact. They may feel an impact, but they'll still continue on to be a successful real estate agent. So this is not at all to say that if you're an agent or a broker that, you should get out of the industry or that you're not going to be able to make enough money. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. You certainly can still be successful as a real estate agent. I strongly believe that. It's just there are some factors to consider about how the commissions will be changing and how your income will be changing. So I think the bottom line for everyone is that it's a bit early for us to know what the effects in the market will be. We know what changes are coming. We just don't know how it's going to play out. Again, a lot of educated guesses as to what may happen, but it's going to be a matter of waiting and seeing. And so, the effects for real estate agents, for home sellers, for home buyers, there's going to be changes for everyone in this market. And we're going to have to kind of wait and see, and time will tell what that's going to bring. So again, I'm Darcel Lobo. I own Dow Law Firm in Normandy Park. I help my clients with real estate matters, estate planning matters, and even bankruptcy matters. So if you need assistance, give our office a call. Our number is 206-408-8158, or you can visit us online at dowlawfirm.com, which is DALLAWFIRM.com. Thank you.